Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video from Dive Talk. My name is Gus.
Hi everybody, it's Woody here.
And today we're going to be answering, I guess a question or a request that we've received several times. You know, one of the things that I'm most proud about from Dive Talk, from the videos that we have created, is the fact that so many people have signed up to learn how to scuba dive.
Definitely.
Like the subscribers and the money that we've received from these ads that we've spent way more than we've received. Like none of that matters. Seriously. Like I appreciate obviously the fact that the subscriber numbers are going up and that people are watching our videos. I love that. But the fact that people are learning to dive, the fact that we're able to grow the scuba diving family and community is the most rewarding thing.
High five to that, dude. Absolutely. And we didn't rehearse this.
No.
That is, I 100% agree with what he just said.
Yeah. So that has been very rewarding for me. And also the fact that we are helping people be safer, right? When they're out there diving. But one of the things that we get is that people are either registering for their classes or they are thinking about registering for their classes and they're asking about what are some of the things that I should be aware of when I go to my class.
Yeah. We get this question often.
We do.
I'll open it. The starting question and, in fact, process that you should go through is, hey, Gus and Woody, who should I get certified with? That's the very first question. They don't even ask about the process. Mm-hmm. Well, what you should do is you should find a dive shop in your area. And you should go to that dive shop and maybe go to a couple of them, if you have more than one in your area, and talk to them about their process, because you're going to learn a lot when you talk to them about their process. If they're a quality first-class dive shop, which is what I presume everybody would want, they will have a process, and it will be defined, and it will include an orientation session before you ever get to the class. The orientation session is going to go over a lot of questions that you likely would have. How much is it going to cost? What's my commitment in terms of time? What gear do I have to buy? And how do I then go on to the second phase, which is in the open water? The final thing you'll learn about in the orientation is how long they've been around. Look at the dive shop itself. Is it vibrant? Is it clean? Is it professional? Are they in uniforms? And who will be teaching me is a fair question.
Yep.
How do they certify their instructors? Ask them questions. Hey, dive shop, what's your process of getting instructors and what training do they have to go through to teach me and who will I be learning with? So that's step number one on who you should be taking your dive class with.
And a good first step, you know, or a good taster, I guess, on what a dive shop is like is to do a try scuba. I really like the try scubas. Two reasons. Number one, the financial investment for a try scuba is minimal. In some cases, like for example, in the shop that we work for, they do have events where try scubas are free, 100% free. You come in, you try scuba diving, you pay $0 to do it. But when you have to pay for it, I believe at the shop is $50.
Yes.
And if after you try it, you decide to sign up because you love it, which hopefully you do, they take the $50 off the class. So it ends up being free. It's not a way for the shop to make money. It's not to take money from you. Of course, it costs money because they have to have an instructor to do it, which is that second thing that I mentioned. You will get a chance to experience an instructor. When you go to a try scuba, it will be done by an actual scuba instructor. It's not done by the person who's on the cashier or something like that. It's an actual scuba instructor. So you'll get a glimpse on what the instruction will be like. The person doing the try scuba will most likely be doing your scuba class as well, or someone similar to that person will be doing your scuba class as well. So it will give you a chance to experience how they teach. Are they friendly? Do I like the location where they're doing the try scuba, the pool? Do I see myself taking a class here or not? So for $50 without buying any gear whatsoever, you get to experience it, and you can be like, nope, that's not the place where I want to do it. Or, yeah, I want to move forward with it.
I agree with you. And a try scuba, what is it? It's exactly as described. You will literally get in the water, in the swimming pool, typically in the shallow end. The instructor will put your gear on for you in the water, so you don't have to typically do it up on the surface where it's heavy. And you'll go underwater with your mask, fins, and snorkel and regulator, and you'll breathe underwater and just sit there and breathe underwater at the beginning. It's typically about 1 hour underwater time. And as you get more comfortable in the try scuba session, you're just swimming around breathing underwater. There's no real skills most of the time. And then you're like, yeah, that was great. I like this. I can do it. You get out of the try scuba, and then they will tell you, hey, let me take a little bit of time and tell you about the next steps to get certified, which is, what is the next step? What's the first step once you're in a class?
Right. Depending on age, let's just assume you're old enough to take the class. Like if you're 8 years old, you probably cannot take the open water class. But if you're old enough, you will then register to become an open water diver. So you will take the class. Now, depending on who you take the class with, what agency, which shop, all of that, the class will change in length and time and all of that. At Sea Ventures, where we work, Dive Ventures now, they have a couple of ways in which they teach it. Some of them are during the weekend, some of them are during the week and at nights, and they're very accommodating with people's schedules. They even have private classes where they will accommodate to your schedule. So and I think a lot of shops are like that. They're very, very flexible when it comes to teaching people how to scuba. But that's what the class will be like. And the class is broken into classroom sessions and pool sessions. I think some agencies put a little bit more emphasis on pool time, which is why I like SSI a lot. They are very adamant about cover a lot of the stuff online. They have a really good online learning center where you go and learn a lot of it on your own. And then you spend some time with the instructors in the classroom where you're just clarifying and answering questions and whatnot. But let's go to the pool and actually learn how to dive. It's hard to learn how to dive on the computer.
Well said. So, a little bit of a repeat. They will issue you some digital learning material. Before class, you're expected to read it. You'll have progress quizzes inside of that digital material. Probably going to take you 4 to 6 hours to get through that. You'll then get to a classroom, hour and a half maximum per night of classroom session, then in the pool. 3 to 4 hours of pool session where you will learn at the beginning simply how to breathe underwater, how to start getting properly trained with your buoyancy, and then skills start to come in, such as clearing your mask, taking a regulator in and out of your mouth, or finding a regulator if it was to drop out. You'll do air sharing, where if somebody is out of air, what do you do? And you'll learn some other emergency-related skills in the pool. And typically, if it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday class, that's 3 sessions in the evening, except for Saturday and Sundays, it's in the afternoons. And you're in the water for 3 or 4 hours in each of those sessions, and you're in the classroom for about an hour and a half. On the very last classroom day, you will take a written exam. It should not be a surprise. It's information that you absolutely saw in the digital materials through the progress quizzes and had some additional training on in the classroom session. It's virtually 100% pass rate, because even if you were to get less than an 80%, that's the required passing grade of the written test, you could take a test B. You review your missed questions and you take a test B, which is essentially the same questions, just rearranged in a little different order. And then you're done with what we call the confined water portion of your training. You've only trained in a pool. So then you're not open water certified yet. Gus, what do we do to get the rest of the certification done.
Right. So everything you do in the class is meant to be a progression. It builds on top of each other. It's kind of like martial arts where you learn something and then that builds into something and so on and so forward. You made a good example with the mask, right? They teach you how to clear your mask if you have a little bit of water, and then they teach you how to clear your mask if it's fully flooded all the way to the top. They teach you what happens if your mask comes off your head completely, how to put it back on and clear it off, all the water out of it. Same thing with the regulator. Take it out, put it back in. What if you lose it all the way? Everything builds up. And the whole class with the confined water is training you on how to safely execute a dive in the open water. That's what it's preparing you for. Then we go to the open water and we practice some of the skills that you learn in the confined water, but out in an open water environment, which can be the ocean, or it can be a lake, or it can be something that is an body of, open water body. So what am I trying to say?
That's right.
Body of water, right? That is open water.
And I love that you use the word practice, because we believe in the term called comfort through repetition.
Correct.
The more you do these skills, so you'll be repeating skills, practicing the skills before you progress on to another skill, both in the confined water and in the open water. And the only other thing I wanted to add to your perfect explanation was, when you get in the open water, they're not going to throw brand new skills at you that you never saw already in the confined water. You're only going to repeat the skills that you learned in the confined water, and in fact, not even all the skills that you did in the confined water. That's typically done over 2 days for most places. You do 2 dives per day. Each of those 2 dives is a training dive where you're doing a progression of skills. And on the 4th of the open water dives, it's mostly actually just diving. And they're just doing a final checkup. The instructor's making sure that you're comfortable and you can dive. And then on that same trip, the 5th dive, you're a certified diver.
It's all for fun at that point.
It's just for fun.
That's it. Now, some of the questions that we do get about people taking the class is, well, how much is the class and how much gear am I going to have to buy? There's really no right answer for that. I think that, obviously if you can see into the future and you see that you're going to be diving all the time, and this is going to be a passion, like it is a passion for the two of us, it is always recommended that you own your gear and learn how to dive with your gear, because you have no idea how much better it is that I can reach without even thinking and know exactly where my orca torch or my reel or whatever is located, because I'm so familiar with my gear that I can reach. I know exactly where everything is at. That is so valuable. During the class, I cannot think of any shop that will force you to buy an entire total diving system in order for you to take the class. All shops basically offer rental gear. They basically make it easy so you learn how to dive. And of course, they give you incentives for you to buy the gear. In a lot of shops, I would say most shops, they will probably say if you buy the gear while you're taking the class, we'll give you X% discount, or the class will be cheaper if you buy some of the gear and that kind of thing. Of course, the shops, like every business, the more you bundle, the more you buy, the cheaper it is overall. So I think that if you can tell early on that this is something you really want to do, buying your gear makes sense.
And like in everything in life, there's different levels of gear. So you can get a rental regulator that may not be balanced. That simply means it doesn't breathe as easy at depth as it does on the surface, versus a really top-notch regulator that's balanced, one of the big brand names, and then you'll breathe that and you'll be like, it breathes so much easier. A BCD, which is the buoyancy control device. That's what holds your tank and it allows you to add air as you go down to help you maintain proper buoyancy. There are different types. Some are better than others. They're built differently. They displace the air across the entire back of the BCD to make it easier to have good trim versus just around your waist. They may have easier to take out and put in weight pockets. So You'll learn all about that different type of gear in your confined water class. That's part of the scuba diving training is, what about the gear? How else would you know about it? So don't take that the shop or the instructor is trying to just sell you something. It's their obligation to teach you about the gear and the different levels of gear. Otherwise, how else would you know? And then you get to make a decision, as Gus said. Am I going to buy it all now or not all now? Or a very common question is, all right, I have a budget. What should I buy first? That's a very common question I get from a lot of students. What's the first piece of gear I should buy? And I would tell you, besides your mask, fins, and snorkel and wetsuit, besides those basic pieces of gear, I'm always going to lean towards the dive computer. The dive computer is the king of your dive. It controls your dive. It's what you're going to listen to and look at to determine how long you can be at a particular depth and how long it's going to take you to come back up to the surface. I call it the king of the dive. It rules the dive. So you want to be super comfortable with it. Get one that's easy to use and easy to see. And again, there is different levels of dive computers with different types of functionality. So they're going to go over all of that as well with you in your confined water class. You're going to get a lot of gear education.
Yeah. The other questions that I see that we get a lot in the channel as well are people with medical issues. I have this kinds of issues or those kinds of issues. Can I dive? And basically every single agency will ask you to have a medical clearance before you can actually take the class. So it really comes down to the doctor. The instructor has nothing to do with it. Like, it doesn't really matter what the instructor thinks. The instructor can think, yes, you can totally dive. If your doctor thinks you cannot, doesn't matter. You can't. And vice versa, right? So you have to have a clearance from your doctor to be able to dive. So if your doctor says, after looking at you and say, yep, it seems like you can dive, you get a clearance, you can take the class.
Excellent. And another question that comes up that's related to that is, some of you will tell us about something about yourself, like, I only have one arm. Can I dive? Or I'm paralyzed from the waist down. Can I dive? Or I'm blind. Can I dive? We've had a lot of comments about that. And the answer will first go back to your doctor. That's number one, as Gus said. And they will sign a medical. And then there are special classes to accommodate people with different needs. Sure, you can dive. Doesn't mean if you're blind or a paraplegic, whatever the case may be, that you automatically can't dive. Don't eliminate yourself thinking, well, I could never do this. That's not true. In the SSI system, we have a class called the classified diver, which means you learn to dive in different ways. You may be required to have more than one buddy, for example, if you can't use your arms or legs, but you still can dive. I'm privileged. I feel lucky to be able to teach that classified dive class, and it's very rewarding both for the instructor and the diver to open up a brand new world of being now weightless underwater, where maybe you are confined to a wheelchair on the surface, but now underwater you can be weightless and scuba dive. So do not eliminate yourself from scuba diving without checking with both a doctor and the dive shop's programs that accommodate people with various different other needs that they may have.
That's right. Trying to think what else it's out there to cover when it comes to scuba diving. I mean, I think, again, I feel like...
Ears is a big one, Gus. We're constantly getting questions about, I cannot clear my ears when I go underwater in a pool. And what we tell you is that it is more difficult to breath hold and go down in a shallow pool and clear your ears than it is when you're breathing in and out. When you're breathing in and out, you're sort of opening up the passageways as you're breathing in and out. So it's actually easier to clear on scuba than when you're breath holding. And secondly, which you will learn about in the class, the shallow dive of the pool is a bigger pressure change as a percentage of pressure change than it is when you break down below 33 feet. So the deeper you go, as crazy as this sounds, the easier it is to clear your ears. So we see that one come up a lot. Don't assume because you can't clear your ears easy by just diving down to the bottom of your pool that eliminates you from scuba diving. Absolutely not true.
Yeah. So like I said, if you were watching this video to learn what you can expect, what you can expect is, again, a ton of fun. Learning how to dive should be fun. It should be a progression where you learn something easy. And once you show kind of, we call it mastery, but I feel like, I call it confidence. When you can do it with confidence, you show me that you can do it and you didn't panic. You're not struggling with it, right? Some people are like white knuckling, like just to clear their mask. Like, no, you just relax and do it with confidence. So then we can move on to bigger and better things. It will be a constant progression. And when you get that open water card, when you become a certified open water diver, that's just the beginning. In SSI, we call that level 1 diver, where you actually start your career as a diver and you get to progress and then become a specialty diver, an advanced open water diver, and then a master diver, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of margin for growth and learning new things. We do get people all the time that are not even divers saying, I want to become a cave diver. Well, how do I do that? Well, step 1 is become an actual diver, open water diver. So take it one step at a time. Everything starts with just checking out your local dive shops. Like I said, Try Scubas, for me, I think is a great tool to just sample what's near you, sample what's available, and it's a very, very low financial commitment to see whether you like the quality of the shop or not and the program that they have. Sometimes, the shops that seem to be doing the greatest, they have the biggest reputation. You visit them, and they don't even have a pool or anything to train or anything. You don't know what to do. So, just check them out, stop by, and read online reviews. I think online is the internet is a great source of reviews and feedback from people. I think, because we have reacted to a lot of instructors and stuff like that, people are a little freaked out about, how do I know if I have a good instructor or a bad instructor? I wish we knew every single instructor out there and be able to recommend people in every city all over the world. But overall, just use the tools that you have available to you and don't worry too much about whether that shop is PADI or SSI or NAUI or whatever. It's all about meet with them, talk to them, do a Try Scuba, see what they have to offer. Like you mentioned, do an orientation and make a decision based on that.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes I drift off topic? Because
No.
It's about to happen.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I have to ask you this question.
All right.
I'm sorry, everybody. That was a great explanation, but this is what I was thinking, at least through half of that last explanation. Are you ready? How many days ago did I see you? Not that, right, when we were diving?
That was
4?
Yeah, Friday, I think. Yeah, so 4 days.
I can't remember. Did you have a beard then?
What?
I think you grew a beard in like 4 days. I'm not kidding. He just had it. It was beautiful, clean and shaved, and it's just a few days later. How does that?
No, stop it.
He just didn't have.
That's what you were thinking?
Only through half of the last explanation.
People were taking this seriously. And
I am taking it serious. It's beautiful. I didn't interrupt. But all of a sudden, I'm looking at your face moving, and I'm picturing the mask, and I'm like, wow, that beard came in
whoever was taking notes.
4 days.
Whoever was taking notes
takes
in
like
this video
6
just
months.
ripped off their page and threw it in the garbage.
It's pretty
And
cool.
said,
That's wild.
and
4 days.
unsubscribe and thumbs down this video right now after that.
Well, how'd that happen?
Anyway, thank you everyone for watching this video. I apologize about that last ridiculous comment
4 days.
about my beard.
It's nice. It's cool. But
Super, super excited that you guys are asking us for advice about learning how to scuba. We're honored that we're able to, cause some change in people's life and go back and learn how to scuba. I mean, it changed my life.
To your first words,
Yes.
that is probably the most rewarding part about doing these. And I've responded a lot as well as you have also, Gus, and I'm just like, man, enjoy the journey is typically a response of mine. Your life is about to change for the better. And I think if you become certified to dive, you're never going to look back, and you will be better for it. It's absolutely incredible what's underneath our oceans.
Enough said.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one.
I like the beard.